I made this AI animation video in the Pixar style in just one afternoon. But the hardest part in AI animation isn't generating the videos. It's keeping your character and voice consistent while telling an emotional story without burning credits. And in today's video, we'll cover generating characters and environments, turning static images into animated scenes, adding professional voiceover and sound design, and by the end of this video you will know exactly how to produce your own AI animation from scratch. But first, let me show you this example.
The worst isn't losing someone, it's continuing living without that person.
So I wanted to produce an emotional short film, something that could be like an opening of a Pixar film. The story is an old man who lives alone after his wife just passed away. So he carries his grief quietly, and then his wife appears one more time to tell him that memories are enough and he will never be alone. So that's the story. It's separated into 4 scenes and it's about 1 minute. And to do so, I followed the simple workflow in 5 steps: storyboard, image generation, video generation, audio, and editing. So let me go through each one. By the way, for this video, I've put together a free guide with every prompt and visual that I'm using in the video. So if you want to follow along and build your own animation in the way, you can grab it for free. You have the link in the description below and in the pinned comment. So the step 1 is the storyboarding. This is where we're going to figure out the story and basically separate the story into different scenes. So in my case, I like to use ChatGPT to do that. You can use Claude, Gemini, whatever. So I'm using this prompt to just tell the story to ChatGPT. And as you can see, I ended up with 4 different scenes here. So the at home, the park, the memories, and the return. And in each scene, he gives me like what's going to happen. Now I like to be organized in my work. So what I do is when I know that I have to do 4 scenes, I create 4 different folders on my computer, as you can see here. And this is where I'm going to put my first frames and the videos that I generate to make my story. So as you can see here, you have like all the first frames of the first scene. And here you have like all the videos. Now for the image generation, what we're gonna do is go on hixfield.com. And in my case, I will be working with Nano Banana Pro. And what I like to start with the character design. So in this story, we have 2 characters, so the old man and his wife. I started by creating them using this single prompt. So this is the prompt that I've used. Again, don't worry about it. I would put it like in the free guide if you want to download it. But basically the main thing that I do is I specify the style that I want. So in my case, a Pixar inspired animation. Of course, I want to describe what the character is going to look like. So for example, like his hair, his eyebrows, and also the environment and the overall vibe, you know, like for example, place him in a softly lit, warm environment to make him more like a loving grandfather, typically like the Pixar style. And then to create his wife, I just added the old man as an image reference and I just prompted generate the wife of this old man. But bear in mind, we're not going to use these images as a reference. They're just like a starting point. What we're going to do is for each character, we're going to create a character sheet referencing our character in every single angle. Because I get this question a lot and you might have this issue also. How do you keep the proportion, like the height, the weight across every generations? So that's why we're going to use a character sheet. So here's the prompt structure that I used. And now every time that you generate a new scene, you just have to upload the character sheet as a reference. For example, for the opening scene, I wanted something really emotional and a close-up shot on his face. So as you can see here, I added my reference sheet and said create a close-up emotional portrait of the same elderly man. And as you can see, all the details of the face have been maintained perfectly. Now, if you don't use a character sheet, this is what can happen. You can see that it's still an old man in the Pixar style, but let's say that he likes to eat maybe a little bit more than the original one that I wanted to create. For in this other example, he has a hat, which is not what I wanted. And now when we use the character sheet, as you can see, it has the same face, same posture, same weight, shot after shot. So now what we're going to do is generate the first frame of every animation that you want to create. And later on, we're going to use this first frame to generate the video. And here, basically, you have 2 techniques. Either you exactly know which angle you want to create. That way, you just add your character sheet as a reference and you describe to Nano Banana Pro the scene that you want. And then you have another technique where you can use the storyboard technique, which is way faster. So for each scenes, I'm going to describe exactly what I want in terms of story using this prompt. And Nano Banana Pro is going to create 9 different still images showing my story. And then it's simple. You just have to upscale the frame that you like using this prompt. So for example, in scene 1, this is the prompt that I used. What the story is, the old man sits alone in the kitchen. He's seated at the kitchen table, an empty cup in front of him. He then looks sadly at the picture of himself and his wife. As you can see, I make sure every time to reference the sheet and some other images using the tag function in Hixfield. And then I get the storyboard where I can just upscale the images that I want. But quick note, sometimes you will not be able to upscale an image because Nano Banana will not really understand what you want, or the image is way too dark. In this case, what I like to do, as you can see, is just put a red square on the frame that I want to extract. So I'm doing that in Photoshop, but you can also do it for free in Canva. Then I'm just going to export this image. Then I just put it in Nano Banana Pro and I said upscale the image in the red square. And this will solve your issue quite easily. By the way, if you want more info about this 9 grid type of technique, I've done a whole video explaining everything in detail. I'm going to put the link above and in the description below. So the whole process to create all the scenes might take you a couple of minutes, but it will save you a lot of time later on when you want to create the videos. And as you can see at the end, I ended up with the first frame of each scenes that I'm going to animate. By the way, if you want to go deeper with AI filmmaking, I actually run a school community where members and I share advanced workflows, exclusive prompts. We do also weekly calls where we give feedback to each other in our projects. And some members are already making money with AI right now. So whether you're just starting out or you're more advanced, that's the perfect place to be. So if you want to join, you have the link in the description below and in the pinned comment. Now let's talk about video generation. So in my case, I will be using Kling 3.0, still in the Higgs field. It's definitely the best model right now, especially for animations. And I'm going to show you guys 2 techniques that you need to master. So the first one is the start and end frame. So this is the most important technique in the toolkit. It gives you the exact control of what's going to happen in a clip, like where it starts and where it ends. In my case, I mostly use this technique, especially the first frame and sometimes the end frame. The way I think about it is if I want to create, for example, a complex camera movement, like an orbit shot or maybe another one where a character is going to appear. For example, there is this shot where I'm doing an orbit around my character while he's walking. And even with great instructions, the AI can struggle. And I can lose a lot of credits going back and forth with it. So as you can see, I added this start frame and then I added this last frame. And I just said the camera orbits as the man walks. For this specific type of movement, I prefer to use this technique. But if you want a simple zoom in or zoom out, just the first frame will be enough. That's mostly what I've used in this short film, by the way. Also, if you want to create a continuity during your shots and create kind of a seamless shot without hard cuts, like I did in this example, this is the first scene that I'm using. As you can see, I went until the end. I just took a screenshot of that. And then as you can see, I added the screenshot as the first frame for the next clip. And I just said in my prompt, the man is shocked, happy, and saying, "How are you still there?" And this is how you create a seamless transition. Now the second technique that you can master is the multi-shot. And this is mostly used if you want to create complex shots, where you have multiple camera angles in a single generation. So to use it when you use Kling 3.0, as you can see, you have the multi-shot function and you can just toggle in here. You can just leave it in auto, what I like to do, or be even more custom and select each shot and describe each shot that you want. As you can see, you have a shot 1 here. You can add different shots and also select the duration of each shot. By the way, you might be asking, like, how much does this film of like 1 minute cost me? So in Higgs field, it costed me around like 15 euros. So that sounds like a lot until you think of what is replaced. Because if you take a real Pixar animation studio, even just an amateur one, it will require a 3D artist and 3D software and months of works. But with AI, I got this in half a day and just for 15 euros. And now that your animation is built, you need the sound. And here's the thing that not a lot of people are talking about. If you do a lot of generations with dialogue, you can have AI generated voice drifts. So maybe the same character in different clips will have different voices. And the solution that I found is using 11 Labs. So what you can do is go to 11 Labs and go to voice changer, and here you're just going to upload and drag and drop your clip. So now that I have my clip, I can just select the voice that I want and click on generate speech. Also, if you want to do a narrator voice, so in my case, I have a narrator in my story who speaks at the end, I go to text to speech here, then I just write my script, and same thing, I just select the voice and click on generate. Now for the music, I just used suno.com, and as you can see, my prompt was really simple, a sad Pixar animation movie, and I selected this music here, so Little Cardboard Wings. And finally, for the sound design, I kept it really minimal, and I'm going to show you guys in the editing phase. Speaking about editing, this is the final phase of the project. And as you can see, we're here in Premiere Pro, so the software that I'm using. You can also use CapCut, which is completely free. So as you can see here, I just laid out all my clips in the same order that I just decided in the beginning with ChatGPT. So following the story that we created. Also, what I like to do for each clip is just cut out like the beginning and the end, because most of the times AI likes to add 1 or 2 seconds of freeze frame at the beginning and the end, which makes the video not really dynamic and way more like static. So if you want a story that flows naturally, that's a good technique. As you can see here also in this line, I added the music that we created in Suno. And quick tip, try to synchronize the music with the story and with the beat of the story. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. Here in the beginning, I make sure to start the music at the moment where the guy is going to finish his phrase. Just take a listen.
The worst isn't losing someone. It's continuing living without that person.
You see here that you have kind of a spike, and this is where I actually added the next frame. Another nice example is that you have kind of a singing voice in the background, and for me it felt kind of like something new and an adventure. So that's why I synchronized this voice to do the transition between the first scene when the old man is in his house and the second scene where the guy is going outside. So the voice is starting just right here, and as you can see, this will do the transition between scene 1 and scene 2. So just take a listen. I also added some ambient sound effect like the autumn leaves. Just take a listen. And as you can see, I added here some fades, during the memory sequence. Here you can see the transitions. It's a classic technique to tell the viewer that this is a memory, so just take a look. So now that everything is done, let's watch the final result.
The worst isn't losing someone. It's continuing living without that person. How come you're still here?
Because you never let me go.
Memories aren't things you keep. These are places where people continue to live.
So I hope you guys liked it and find it helpful. Again, if you want to download the free guide with all the visuals and all the prompts, or maybe if you want to join the school community and go further with AI, all the links will be in the description below and in the pinned comment. I also made a video describing 40 different camera movements for cinematic AI. I will put the link of the video here. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.